Well, we just got done with the worst. Now we're doing better than worse. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Drew, better known as RockChalk01, and I am going to continue the series of ranking every single Disney animated movie from worst to best based on a tier list. The last video in part 1 was all of F tier. This is part 2 and we're doing all of D tier. D tier contains 9 films, so if you think these should be in some other tier, let me know down in the comments. But without further ado, let's get into it. In last place of D tier, we have Treasure Planet. Now this came out in a perfect time for me of my childhood, as 2003, I was about 4 years old, 4, almost going on 5. This film, as a child, I did not seem to click with it at all. But as I got older, I realized that this film has some good qualities. I mean, the story is original enough that it's decent, but it's not great. The character developments were pretty meh, but the score in this film really saved it. I think the score is probably one of like the top 20, 25 soundtracks in the Disney animated canon. This was almost on the verge of being in F tier, so that's why Treasure Planet is in last place of D tier. Coming in at number 8, Fantasia 2000. Now, there's the good old saying of the sequel being never as good as the original, and this one fits the bill. Fantasia 2000 was just almost like a dud in a way to the original 1940 film, and we'll get to Fantasia later on in the series. The stories that were told, like the animation just somehow for me just did not seem to mix with the score. This score is really good, and I think most of these D tier films usually have good scores, but they just don't have good stories or good character developments or anything like that. This one, I would agree that it has a good score but does not have a good story. So that's why Fantasia 2000 is at number 8. At number 7 is the Three Caballeros. Now, this is technically the sequel to Saludos Amigos, and this one actually is much better. It has better character arcs, with the Three Caballeros being the main guys of the film, but the stories that go along with it just does not seem to fit, other than when those three are in the story arc. It's better than Saludos Amigos because, as I said in the last one, it made me feel like I was bored in Spanish class watching this. I would be more intrigued in a Spanish class if this film was played. So that's why it is here in this spot in D tier. At number 6 is Winnie the Pooh, the 2011 movie. Yeah, there's 2 of these technically, but the Many Adventures, we'll get to that later. But the Winnie the Pooh one from 2011, it just did not seem to click because of its story. The characters were really good and they had great builds. The score was pretty okay. It wasn't the best score in the world, but it had good qualities. But the story just seemed to lack, and it just kind of dragged on a little bit, and I just did not seem to get very intrigued in this film. So that's why the Winnie the Pooh film is here in 6th. In 5th place is Oliver and Company, and this film, it just seems like the story and the characters just did not seem to have much build, but only Oliver himself. However, this film does get saved by one song, Why Should I Worry, that was written by Billy Joel. That is a good song and I really like it, but the other things in the film just did not seem to fit very well. But it was a much bearable movie because the story is barely based on the Oliver Twist story that was written by Charles Dickens. When it was put into practice, it just did not seem to fit very well with the book material, but they had to make it their original story and it just fell flat. So it's in the middle of the pack of D tier. In 4th place, Ralph Breaks the Internet. This film is so much like a cash grab film where they just shove it into our faces and want us to pay and buy tickets. Because the internet's theory of you can enter all these different things and screw that up is fairly similar to the Emoji Movie, but it's much more bearable than watching the Emoji Movie. The characters and their development just did not seem to stick either. The only thing that this really has is nostalgia, because you get to see all the Disney princesses, all these video games, all these internet apps going on, and that's the only thing that I got out of this film, was just nostalgia because of all these old-timey cartoons, old-timey video games, and old-timey movies that were just being mentioned. Other than that, this is really much a cash grab, and it wasn't one of my favorites. In third place, The Sword in the Stone, and this one has good character development between Arthur and Merlin. I think those are really good character developments between the two characters. The story was pretty okay, it was bearable, and I could still watch it and be fine. I just did not like the score at all in this film. Usually, music for me is just like, this is gonna make or break a film, and this kind of broke the film in a way. But the story and the character developments of the two characters that I mentioned pretty much saved this film. Coming in second place of D tier is Frozen 2. Now, I have bunkered myself in here because I am afraid that I'm going to get attacked by 3-year-old to 8-year-old girls because I don't like Frozen 2 as much. Because the story and the character developments in this movie flopped hard. The score is the only thing that really saved this movie, and it's one of the best scores, period, because I love it. Into the Unknown is a great song. Olaf seems too annoying for me. Elsa should be a better character. They kind of shot herself in the foot with that. And the only really character that I can say that's bearable is Sven. Yeah, Sven. It's still a movie that I could watch with my kids when I get older and be like, oh, we gotta watch this again. But it's not like I want to turn this off bad. So that's why it's at the top of D tier. But coming in first place, the best of D tier is The Rescuers. I'm sorry, people. I like The Rescuers better than Rescuers Down Under. This film had good character arc for the two mice. I loved it. The story was there in a way, and it almost was C tier for me. It was that close, but then there's a couple of other films that I was like, yeah, you're pretty much right. This is not as good as some of the others. But yeah, I love the villain in this movie. I think she's one of the best, like, top 15 Disney villains of all time, in my opinion. But the story was a little bit in the air, but it was manageable. So that's why congratulations to The Rescuers. You're the best of D tier. And that is going to do it for my ranking of D tier. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Also, leave a like, share, subscribe, and push that notification bell. Next time we meet, we will be discussing the movies of C tier. And this is where the biggest chunk of movies is going to be. So, bear with me on its length. But, until then, have a good day. Never ever bring exotic dancers to the field house. And I shall catch you on the flip side. Peace.